Hi, I'm Leena Norms and I'm here in Queen Victoria's bedroom. I'm here with Polly Putnam, who is a curator at Historic Royal Palaces, and we're here to talk about Queen Victoria. Now, Polly, as a feminist, I have a very weird relationship with Queen Victoria in my head, because, you know, she's this huge kind of strong female figure in British history, but she's also got all these kind of elements of colonialism. She didn't support the suffragettes. She didn't like sex very much, I hear. So how do you feel, you know, kind of thinking about her in that light as a woman of her time?
Yeah, she wasn't an easy woman.
She's not an easy one
to talk about, but I think she has quite a lot for us as modern women to learn. She wasn't someone who shied away from being a woman, and I think she used her femininity to become popular, to endear herself to the public, which I think actually for us today as women, I think so often in the workplace we're told to kind of not be shrill, not make a fuss, not show emotion. I think what Victoria did was like she used her emotion and her grief really to create a very successful image for herself.
She's a great PR woman for herself.
She is a fantastic PR woman. She is like brand Victoria. She is creating her own personal brand from the off.
I guess I also struggle with what she could have done, like in the institution that she's in and the power that she had, what she could have changed and if she want to. And I guess what I feel is that if she was around now and she was doing the things that she was doing, I'd be really mad. I'd be like, you're our one woman, we only have you. Why won't you advocate for other people? How much power do you think she had in that, and like how do we reconcile that in our head?
I think as ever what you do is kind of blame the patriarchy around her. So what she knows of the world, what she understands of the world is what people tell her, and the people who are telling her are privileged men. She very much views that the stability of the country sort of relies on the stability of the monarchy. So she does what she can to kind of keep her head, keep her position.
So with her home life, she has 9 children. She really feels this pull of like feeling the duty of having to be a Victorian woman and do all that. Do you think that still is around today? Because we're sitting in her domestic sphere, we're sitting in the place that she really was told that she belonged. Do you think that's a legacy that's still around? And obviously we talk about abortion rights and stuff, and I read that she actually, after her 7th child, was like, Albert, please no more children. And he was like, no. Keeping somebody in that, you know, pregnant state is a lot to bear as well.
Yeah, and I think, again, this is one of the things where I kind of find Albert I find Victoria easier to empathise with, because she goes through things that women go through. She goes through pregnancy, it's not a lot of fun. She gives birth, also I hear, not a lot of fun, got that to come. So all of these things like you can empathise with because she gives so much and dies. Albert's position, where he instantly kind of starts taking advantage of the fact Victoria's pregnant, starts taking more of an active political role, starts really kind of, yes, this is my chance to like be the man of the house. And I think that is something that's quite interesting that you do still very much feel today. So I'm quite obviously pregnant at the moment. I tell people that my husband's sharing some of my maternity leave, and they're like, really? He's so good. And it's like, well,
a little pat on the head.
pat on the head. So it's just funny, and actually as you kind of literally start embodying all of these, like the most feminine thing you can do is sort of have a child or be pregnant. Once you start embodying that, then like you really start seeing that
misogyny comes through the cracks.
Yeah. But again, I think like Victoria very much uses it and doesn't try and fight that femininity. She uses that very much to her advantage. Like she is mother to her children, she becomes mother to the nation. That kind of thing. When she's grandmother, she becomes grandmother of Europe. So all of these things she uses as well. So she deserves credit for that.
Yeah, maternal rule.
Yeah.
And is it true as well, and again that's something that I find hard, is that apparently she wasn't very nice to her children. She didn't really like being a mother. But again, why do I expect that of a woman? Why am I like, well, She should have really enjoyed motherhood that was forced on her.
See, again, I think there are over 200 biographies of Queen Victoria, and I think about 20 of them are written by women. So I think they tend to take a letter that she wrote to her eldest daughter, Princess Victoria, on her first pregnancy. And it's a very frank letter where she writes, pregnancy is pretty rubbish. Children when they're tiny babies aren't actually that much fun. And so I think a lot of male biographers are like, oh my God, why isn't she like in love with being pregnant? Why isn't she sort of totally sort of into this whole motherhood thing? And they read that instantly as bad mother. But then you look at the sort of the physical evidence that's left. So there are over 400 drawings that Queen Victoria sketched of her children when they were little. Wow. We have an object in the exhibition at the moment, which is a washing apron. And again, if you look to her diaries, you see that she is there and she's washing her children. I think there's also a thing like they have a go at Victoria for not breastfeeding. And it's like, if you're breastfeeding, it's not like they had breast pumps in those days. She still had to kind of get on with queening. So she was out there after Leopold, 10 days after she gives birth, she's out there meeting prime ministers. Actually not even 10 days, like within 5 days.
It's interesting what you say about how there's not as many female historians that have really studied Victoria as men have had the opportunity to kind of write her history for her. Do you think that impacts how we see her?
Definitely.
Okay.
So like this sort of traditional, I think as well, like male biographers would feel afraid to say like, oh, we had like quite an emotional queen. They'd instantly like write that as a bad thing. But I think now if you look at the work of Margaret Homans, Lucy Worsley, or sort of things that we're trying to do in this exhibition, we're like, no, we're okay with that. It means that you're relatable, you're understandable. And certainly things like the attitude to children, or the fact that male biographers, and again, this is stereotyping, they're not interested in things like Queen Victoria's clothes. So in the exhibition, you'll see that there are so many sort of embroidered details all over her dresses. There are elements to them. So actually, she stopped wearing a corset after Albert died. So actually, for most of her reign, Victoria effectively didn't wear a bra. She had pockets, lots of pockets in her bodices and in her skirt. So all of these things sort of show Victoria kind of taking control.
And she I received criticism for weight gain as well, because she was known as being this very slender girl and then slowly gains weight, and people are very angry about it. But then I read that she actually had a hernia.
Yeah, so A, she had a hernia. B, like, why not?
Yeah.
Like, she's the most powerful woman in the world. She is
surrounded
by 9 children, the greatest chefs in the world.
Yeah.
Like,
why not?
Why does it matter?
Yeah.
You will not see as many plus-size mannequins anywhere as you will in our Victoria Women and Crown exhibition.
Yeah, you've really made me think about Queen Victoria, because I think that I always think about her and how I'd respond to her if she existed now, which would be probably a madness. I'd be like, Vicky, we have so much to do. Why aren't you helping us? And I think that, she doesn't act like a modern politician or a modern royal, which is, I guess, not what I should expect from her. But I think as well, like knowing the context of where she was, being in these palaces that are like kind of not the real world. She grew up in not the real world. She barely saw the real world, and I think that that's a really important thing to consider. And I think we can learn so much more from her than perhaps a woman in history that I really admire or a woman in history that I really don't agree with. Because I think having this grey area for her is a really good way for me to learn about my own privilege, what I miss, and I just think it's so interesting and so important. So thank you so much for chatting to me and telling me more.
Thank you, it's been fun.
Yes.